All right, some of you have asked for it. Here it is, my University of Texas too early to predict things. First of all, before I start, hook 'em. But no, seriously. So a lot of you know that I am a Texas fan. A lot of you also were like, why don't you talk about Texas more? Why don't you talk about Texas more? The reason why is because I feel like Texas, there's a good program, and I don't want to make my channel be exclusively about anything really in particular. I like the ability to be flexible and talk about what I want to talk about. I also feel like whenever your program is good, there's not a lot really to talk about until the season starts. So when the season starts, maybe I will have some things to talk about. But as far as Texas as a program, they're in a good spot. They just paid our head coach tons of money. We were in the semifinals last year. The team, our quarterback's returning. We have a lot of positive things happening. And so it's what is there to talk about? What would you like me to talk about when it comes to the University of Texas? You want me to talk about how great QB1 is? Do you want me to talk about our great running back room? Do you want me to talk about how great we did in the portal? There's not really much bad news or not really much to talk about when it comes to Texas. So I just don't talk about them. I just don't find them interesting. And I like that. Be boring. It's kind of like being a Steelers fan. So I'm a huge Steelers fan. In the offseason, the Steelers historically make the right moves. They historically make the right decisions. They historically do the right thing. And so for me in the offseason as a Steelers fan, there's not really much for me to go back and forth about because they usually do the right thing. So it's a little bit, different for me to go on and on about Texas because I'm they just are what they are. What do you say? However, I'm going to make this video and do this too early prediction because I did it with Colorado. So why not do it with the University of Texas? I will say that I don't see much changing for the University of Texas unless something happens to Quinn Ewers before the season starts. I don't see myself changing my opinion, but if I do, I will come back on. But I do want to say that I'm going to do this just like I did Colorado. I have my iPad and I have the schedule and I'm just going to go through and figure out what I think. There's a couple of things I do want to say that is going to impact my prediction. Just like my Colorado video, I will give Texas the benefit of the doubt. I think their benefit of the doubt is different just because of the levels of the program, but I'm going to go through this the same way I did. I also just want to say that I believe Texas, if I'm not mistaken, has 14 returning starters coming back this year. I think 14 returning starters in college football might be one of the highest of returners that are coming back to their team from last year. And so if that number is correct, if it's 14, I think it's 14. If that number is correct and it's 14, that's phenomenal. That's why I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. I think the other thing is one of the bad things about Texas last year was their pass defense. I don't want to say their corners weren't good. They just didn't get the job done. Yes, you can make the argument that some of them were young. That's fine. I'll accept that. But so those were really the things. Stopping the run was our highlight. I think that this year they're going to have to replace Murphy and Sweat to be able to stop the run, which I think they will do. I think some of the people coming back will be able to contribute to that. And I think some people they got in the portal will be able to contribute to that. I already mentioned Sark's $10 million a year, so they clearly think he's the guy. It's the University of Texas football. So they are supposed to get better. They are also supposed to remain good. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they are going to do that. So without further ado, let me get into my list or my prediction for the University of Texas this year. They start the season off with Colorado State. If they do not demolish Colorado State, I will be concerned. I fully expect Texas to win this game against Colorado State. I don't even think it will be close. The funny thing is, Texas plays Colorado State this year, and Colorado also plays Colorado State this year. I just think that's interesting. Then we play Michigan in Ann Arbor. Not worried about playing Michigan. I think Texas should go take care of business. I will say that I do think playing at Michigan is a hard place to play. So that is true. But I do think based off of what I have seen that Michigan has lost, new coaching, new everything, I do think Texas has an advantage. And I think Texas should go in there and take care of business. So that's what my opinion on that. And then Texas has 3 home games after that. So they will play UTSA. I think that's a win. They will play ULM. I think that's a win. And they will play Mississippi State. Now, this will be their first SEC matchup this year. Do I think Texas will win and take care of business? Absolutely. I am going to mark this as a win. And then Texas will get a bye. So at this point, we have Texas being 5-0 heading into the bye week, which will be good. It will allow us to have that one SEC game under our belt to then, in my personal opinion, get ready for more of like a gauntlet left of who we have to play. So when we come back from a bye week, like always, we will play Oklahoma, and that will be the Red River rivalry. That seems not to go anywhere ever. This is where things get tricky. So based off what I know on the history of this game and how weird it is and how messy it gets and how everything, I'm going to pick Texas to win this game next year for a lot of weird reasons that maybe have nothing to do with football per se. Maybe a little bit it does, because this is kind of how it works. Historically, I can't think of the last time a team has won back-to-back years. Last year, Oklahoma beat Texas at the end of the game. I think Sark will have hopefully learned from some of those play calls that he did. And I just think next year is like Texas's year. I think with Quinn Ewers, I think with the team, they know what they have in Oklahoma. This is a rivalry game though, so you just never know what's going to happen. I am going to say that Texas is going to win that game playing Oklahoma. The highlight of the season, maybe, will be Georgia rolling into Austin. I think that this game is interesting to me because I think this game is really going to depend on what happens in the Oklahoma game. So if we come out in the Oklahoma game and we lose and we don't play well, I actually like our chances better at beating Georgia in that scenario, as opposed to going in, dominating Oklahoma, then playing Georgia at home makes me nervous. However, I will say this, also injuries play a part in this game, depending on how we come out of that Oklahoma game will impact this Georgia game, I believe. I don't like that I'm going to say this, but historically, Ewers, health issues, things like that, I'm not going to speak that into existence. I'm just throwing it out there. So this Georgia game at home has me concerned. My head is saying that Texas is going to win this game, and my head is saying that because Texas is at home, and I think Texas will have a better team. However, I just haven't seen it, so I'm not sure yet. So I'm going to go with Georgia for now, and I'm going to say that that might be Texas's first loss. That's just my opinion. It just kind of is what it is. The next game is going to be Vanderbilt. It's in Tennessee. I think Texas should take care of business against Vanderbilt. However, it could be a trap game because we just had Oklahoma. We will just have played Oklahoma. We will just have Georgia. And now here comes Vanderbilt. And historically, these are those games that trick people. However, a good program should be able to sustain that and should be able to win this game. So I am going to go with Texas on that one. The next game is Florida, and it's at Florida, University of Florida, and it's at Florida. So I'm going to take Texas to win that game just because I watched some Florida games last year, not a lot of them. I don't know what Florida has that can beat Texas. So there's nothing that really points to me that leads me to think Florida is going to be better than Texas. And so I think Texas is going to have something to play for. And so I think they're going to beat Florida. The other game, Florida is at home in Austin, not in Gainesville. The next game is Arkansas. Arkansas is tricky. So if you know anything about Texas football and Arkansas history, you will know that this is like a rivalry. Like it was a rivalry like bigger back in the day because we used to be in the same conference. And now it's kind of like one of those rivals. Like I don't think Arkansas or Texas would ever come out and be like, oh yeah, we're rivals with them, because I don't think it's like that. I think it's more of like just one of those like historical rivals, kind of like probably like a Texas and Nebraska or something like that. Like it's not necessarily the rival, but there's a history there. And this game is in Arkansas. And the last time Texas played Arkansas, I believe maybe even the last 2 times Texas played Arkansas. I believe Arkansas beat Texas. And so I am going to pick Texas in this one. But that's also one of those games that kind of wouldn't surprise me, right? Health, the time of the year, different things like that. I would be interested to see. I will say, I didn't say this before, but the good thing between Vanderbilt and Florida is that there is a bye week. And so I'm just hoping that bye week really allows us time to prepare for that Florida and Arkansas game. So I'm going to have that as a win. And then there's Kentucky. We should beat Kentucky. And then there's Texas A&M. And based off of what I know of Texas A&M right now, I think that we should beat them. Now, again, another rival. Like Texas A&M and UT have not played football. Like they used to be in the same division. Like this used to be the game. Like this used to be the moment. This used to be it. And so to have them back on this schedule and that it's at Kyle Field, and for the fact that I feel like Texas should be in contention, this will be a really big game. And again, if Texas is back and if Texas is who we think they are, they should win this game. That should be what happens. And so I'm going to pick Texas. I think they should go in there and take care of business. I think Texas will have the better athletes. I think they will have the better team. I do think they will have the better coaching. So they should go in there and do what needs to be done. Now, and kind of saying all of this, I have Texas going 11-1 based off of what I just said. I would not be shocked if Texas went 10-2. That wouldn't surprise me for a multitude of reasons. First year in the SEC, so the competition is going to go up a little bit, even though we have like Vanderbilt, Kentucky, and teams like that. Like I do think the competition is going to go up a level. And so I want to just kind of leave that leadway, cause maybe, right? So I won't take that away. I also just want to have a very small complaint about Sark's play calling. I love Sark. I think he's our coach. I think he should be our coach. I think he does a lot of things right. There's sometimes in his play calling, though, during the games, I feel like he falls in love with Ewer's arm and he doesn't realize that our running game is phenomenal and that our offensive line is phenomenal. And so sometimes the play calling, in my opinion, I feel like we go away from the things that we do really well. So again, because I'm giving the benefit of the doubt, I'm going to act like that is not the case and we're going to be fine. And I will say Sark 2 years ago versus Sark this past year. So Sark in 2022 versus Sark in 2023. I did see a difference. There were still some moments where I was like, run the ball. But I do think he did a better job. So I will give him that. However, there is still that little caveat. So I'm going to say 11-1 right now. It would not shock me if it was 10-2. I do expect Texas to be in the college football playoffs next year. I have big goals and big dreams for them. I don't know if I would go as far as saying just yet that they're going to have a bye week because I'm not saying they're going to win the SEC. I'm not ruling it out, but I'm not saying that they're going to win right now because, they're new. Like, let's see what's going to happen. But for right now, 11-1 is my too early prediction. Wouldn't be surprised at 10-2, but I'm sticking to 11-1. That's what I will go on record, and that's what I will say. I also feel like this is Texas's chance to prove themselves. They are here. They're back. And whether or not people like it, we don't really care. But this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to show up to games. You're supposed to win, and you're supposed to beat really good teams. That's what it means when your program is back. It means that you're back and you're good and you're going to be consistent. And that is what I want to see. So for those of you asking, here's my too early Texas prediction. And I really hope it doesn't change. Actually, I hope I'm wrong and we win more games. I hope we don't lose a single game, but I'm going to be realistic. And Georgia's going to be tough in Austin. So anyways, that's my prediction. And let me know what you think in the comments below. If you don't care, great. But this is me doing what people have asked me to do. So there you go.